Everything was lining up for the comeback. The perfect play, the ball secured, the end zone exploding with hope, and then everything collapsed in a split second. A touchdown that felt absolutely guaranteed just vanished after the review, like the game pulled the rug out from under Baltimore at the worst possible moment. It happened so fast, so unexpectedly, that even people inside the stadium needed a moment to figure out what they had just witnessed. And the more you look at that play, the clearer it becomes that it didn't just change the score, it changed the entire energy of the game. A tiny detail suddenly became the center of everything, rallying the team's confidence and flipping the AFC North race upside down. And it's exactly that detail, that tiny, unexpected turning point, that shows the real weight of what went down in those final dramatic moments. At the most intense point of the game, Baltimore finally hit the play everyone had been waiting for. Lamar Jackson found Isaiah likely wide open in the end zone. The ball arrived perfectly and likely secured it, taking 2 steps as the stadium erupted like the comeback was already locked in. It was a kind of moment that instantly shifted the mood, like the whole pressure of the game suddenly got lighter. But the celebration barely started before the officials called for a review, and everything flipped instantly. The slow-motion replay showed likely controlling the ball cleanly, but it also showed Joey Porter Jr. arriving at the exact moment, likely try to plan his third step. With every replay, that tiny detail grew louder, and the uncertainty spread to the stadium as everyone held their breath. The review took longer than anyone wanted. Every single frame seemed to tell the same story. Clean initial control, 2 solid steps, and contact right at the most delicate part of the move. When the decision finally came down and the touchdown was overturned, the frustration hit hard. What felt certain seconds earlier suddenly became doubt, and the shine of that play disappeared, as if someone had erased it from the field. The weight of that reversal was written on everyone's face, because it wasn't just a lost play. It was a moment that carried the entire game on its back. Having something so big taken away over a detail left a silence heavier than any argument, and the game kept moving with that tension hanging in the air, influencing every second that came afterward. Once the play was overturned, a lot of people tried to make sense of why. Because to anyone watching live, it really looked like Likely did everything right. But the NFL has that tricky rule about completing the process of catch, and that's exactly where everything started to get complicated. Even with the ball in his hands and 2 steps down, he still needed that final moment that turns the catch into something fully secured. On the replay, you could see Porter's hit landing at the exact instant, Likely try to lock in his third step. And that's what the officials look for when deciding whether the receiver truly had enough time to control the ball. This part of the rule sparks more debates than almost anything else, because it comes down to details so tiny they sometimes seem almost invisible. CBS Rules analyst Gene Steratore explained that the call was technically correct. He said that even though Likely caught the ball in the end zone, he still needed to show enough control to turn it into a true football move. Since the contact knocked the ball out before that moment was completed, the ruling followed the letter of the rule exactly. All of that created that familiar feeling. The rule might be clear on paper, but it doesn't always feel fair when it's applied in real time. These interpretations shake everyone watching, because they turn a play that looked perfect into something completely different, leaving the game with that thick tension that doesn't go away easily. On the other side of the play, Joey Porter Jr. became the guy who changed everything. He arrived at the ball with perfect timing, almost like he had been waiting for that exact moment, and his punch was strong enough to turn a clean catch into a totally disputed play. Sometimes a defender needs just one touch to flip the direction of a game, and that's exactly what he pulled off. His read was quick, almost instinctive. Porter Jr. recognized that Likely hadn't completed the movement yet, and attacked the ball before that third step could settle. Plays like that show how much defenders train to recognize situations where every millisecond can change the outcome. He never gave up on the play, not for a single moment, and that ended up making all the difference. After the reversal, it was impossible not to feel the weight of what Porter Jr. did. He didn't just prevent a touchdown that felt inevitable. He injected life into the Steelers' defense at the most crucial moment of the night. In games this tight, a play like that isn't just about the scoreboard. It hits the emotional rhythm on both sides. And when a single movement triggers that big of a shift in the direction of a game, it becomes clear how every tiny detail can carry massive impact. What looked like just a last-second punch at the ball suddenly became the central point of the entire conversation, showing just how important a perfectly timed defensive play can be.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
The reaction on the Ravens' sideline was instant. John Harbaugh was visibly furious. Not just because of the play itself, but because the team had finally found a play that could flip the game, only to watch it disappear in a decision that fell completely out of their hands. You can almost feel the frustration of seeing a touchdown ready to go on the board get erased in a review. The offense tried to regroup quickly, but it was obvious that play shook the rhythm of everyone on the field. The next calls didn't flow the same way, almost like the emotional hit was still sitting heavy on every player's shoulders. It's tough to regain confidence when something that big gets ripped away right in front of you. Baltimore still had a few more chances close to the end zone, and every snap carried the weight of what had just happened, but nothing connected, and the pressure kept building with each failed attempt, tightening the atmosphere and shrinking the margin for error to almost nothing. The comeback felt like it slipped away the moment that play was wiped off the board. Harbaugh made it clear how much he disagreed with the decision, even knowing nothing was going to change the outcome. The way it all unfolded left that bitter taste of a lost opportunity. The kind of feeling that doesn't fade quickly in a game this big, especially when it shakes the team's confidence and identity. With the loss, the impact in the standings was immediate. The Steelers climbed to 7-6 and took over first place in the AFC North, completely reshaping the race in one of the tightest divisions in football. Meanwhile, the Ravens fell to 6-7 and now have to deal not only with the loss, but with the weight of how much it shifts the playoff picture. Losing a game decided on such a tiny detail makes everything harder to handle. Every win matters at this point in the season, and watching one slip away like this adds a pressure that wasn't there before. The Ravens know that every week from now on will demand even more focus, because the margin for mistakes has basically disappeared. The problem isn't just a loss. It's the way it affects the team's confidence. A moment this dramatic stays on everyone's mind, even if nobody admits it right away. The feeling that a single play might have changed the direction of the entire season sticks with players, and they have to find a way to bounce back quickly. And that's the atmosphere the season continues in. Every snap carrying a bit of what happened in that decisive moment. The game moved on. The standings shifted, but that play lingered in the air like a reminder how fast everything can change in the NFL. Nothing about this game was simple. A play that looked like the turning point became the most tense moment of the night, exposing a rule detail capable of shifting the destiny of two teams battling for the AFC North. The emotional impact on the Ravens, Harbaugh's frustration, Porter Jr.'s perfectly timed punch, the razor-thin interpretation by the officials, all of it came together to create one of the most memorable moments of the season, the kind that echoes long after the final whistle. And now the question that's impossible to avoid. Do you think that touchdown should have counted? Because depending on how you see it, that changes the way this entire game will be remembered. What doesn't change is how massive that moment felt. Maybe even bigger than anyone expected. And it's exactly that kind of moment that shows why the NFL delivers drama even in the smallest details, especially when everything feels already decided.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.